Hey, Slay Nation, it's your host, Heather, back with another episode of the So She Slays podcast. I am on a travel kick, y'all, and it would not be right if I didn't include this person in my little travel kick right now because I've consumed her content. I took a nice little rabbit hole deep dive down her content, and she's living my dream life. She's living my dream life. I'm talking about T. She has traveling.t on her socials. If you get a chance to go look at it, she is a global social media strategist, travel connoisseur, and consultant. T, thank you for being here with us. I'm so excited. We're going to talk about all things traveling on a budget, traveling with friends, solo traveling, but we're going to actually peel back the curtain because you have been living abroad for a very long time. In fact, you're in Thailand right now.
Yeah.
You've been there for a hot second. So we're gonna peel back the curtain because I think a lot of this is like, yes, traveling's amazing, but there's some it can't be unicorns and rainbows all the time. So let's talk about some nitty gritty stuff. I also would love to talk about healing while you're traveling. It's such a healing experience. And then how the hell you were able to do these jobs traveling, spill the tea because I may be making a career shift or something.
Yes, that is always the question. Everyone's like, how can you do it? And I'm like, it's not as hard as we think it is. It just takes grit and tenacity. That's what I say. It takes
As
grit and
do
tenacity.
most great things. So, right before we head into our conversation, because I feel like we're jumping at the bit here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How this came, how are you in Thailand right now? Like, how has that came to be? And then we'll head into this conversation.
Yeah, so as you said, my name is T. I am a global social media strategist, but this is what I am in my current life. In my much beginning life, when I first ever came to Thailand. So I came to Thailand in 2018. It was really spurred because I studied abroad in university in Japan, and then I studied abroad in London. And because of those things, they really gave me this idea that it was something about living in London for an extended period of time and traveling, solo traveling. That was the first time I solo traveled. And I was like, hold on. What is this? What is this existing in foreign spaces and just moving through life? And what is this? How can I make this a reality? I did so by deciding. I started a blog when I was in London. I was writing. By the time I came back from London, I was like, I worked for, I want to say, a year. And I was like, I want to be a travel writer. I want to try to be a travel writer. That's what I want to do. And I'm lucky enough to have an incredible family who was so supportive, so lovely, so kind. They were like, all right, we don't know how you do that, but what do you think your
Go
plan
for
is?
it.
Listen, go for it. And the plan was I'll move to Thailand and become an English teacher. I studied public relations and broadcast communications. I was the managing editor of my university newspaper. I did news editing, news writing. So I know a lot about grammar, English language, all of that. So I was like, I'll go be an English teacher in Thailand. And while I do that, that'll be able to give me a visa to live in the country. It'll give me income while I'm actually being a travel writer, because being a writer is not an easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it gives you a lot of time off, lots of holidays to travel and do things, inexpensive quality of life, inexpensive to be able to travel amongst different places. It just kind of made sense. And so that is how I ended up in Thailand. I was a travel writer and an English teacher, and that was 7 years ago. So things have changed so much since then.
Clearly, because now you're doing social media. Now you're helping people find these trips, and you're almost like travel agency guiding it, right, for these groups of people. So talk to me a little bit about how all this came to be, because now I'm searching my brain. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I be making the money traveling the world?
Which I think that it's always interesting because everybody, obviously, that is the big thing everybody wants to know, right? Like, it is so important for people to know that, because if I can give people tangible ways that they can live abroad, then it gives people an absolute like framework of how to make their lives, like their dreams, come true, or just to give them a blueprint to do something that is not the norm, right?
Mm,
Um, it's easy to be conditioned to do the things that we see everybody doing, that we see society telling us to do, but
yeah.
it takes a lot of like, it takes a lot of gumption. Like, really, it takes grit, it takes tenacity, it takes gumption, it takes delusional. Like, it takes being
Here
delulu.
for it.
Yes, to be like, I can do this. It's okay. This is, please, nobody judge me when they hear this, but like, Harriet Tubman. I'm a Black American. Harriet Tubman. I am by no means a Harriet Tubman, but you'll see where I'm going. Stick with me. Stick with me. Harriet Tubman, when she did the Underground Railroad, like, she dreamt of something that she could not even see. Like, no one had done this before. She had never had a vision. No one told her. She just had a belief in her heart and in a system and was like, I know that this can happen because I feel it in my bones. No, like, I'm no Harriet, but it's like, it's Harriet energy. It's Harriet energy.
I love
You
it. I
gotta
love it.
be, you gotta just believe in something that you literally like have never seen, that you can't really fathom, that you're not even sure how it can happen, but you're like, I know that somehow I'm gonna get to this goal.
Mm,
You have no idea how you're getting there, but you're gonna get there. So for me, basically getting into the social media, getting into the traveling. So obviously all good for me. My life starts when I have a breakup. Like, every time I've reset my life, it's
facts.
because I'm breaking up. And it every single breakup I've had, like, shout out to my exes, because every time I've leveled up, and it has been so much better for my life. So basically, I had this one ex-boyfriend, loved him so much, loved him down, couldn't think with that when I was not with him, like, could, like, it was so crazy, it was so wild. And we ended up breaking up. And because we broke up, it prompted me to like need to go back to the United States and heal. Um,
Mm, mm.
so it was 2022. It was 2022. It was July 4th because I arrived on like July 3rd, and then we did 4th of July 2022. Summer 20 goes down in the Hall of Fame. And so when I did that, I quit my job as a teacher in
Okay.
Thailand because I was leaving to go to the States for like 3 months. So I was
Okay.
like,
Makes sense.
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to leave this job. And if I come back and my position is here, I'll just reapply. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I quit the job. And by way of quitting that job, it opened up my life to other things. It
Mm,
just opened up space. It really, like, energetically, universally, it was like different doors were able to open because I wasn't so tied down to this. Like, that really is what happened. And then I work for a nonprofit organization, and the executive director of that organization had asked me, "Hey, T, would you like to take on a stronger role? Like, I want you to take on a stronger role." And I was all like, But then I was like, well, I'm not being an English teacher. I'm here. Like, okay, let's do it. And because of that, like, things just spiraled. It really is one of those things where it's like, once you step into what's for you, the doors will open.
mm,
But you have to be brave enough to step into what's for you. But not only do you have to be brave, I am very lucky that I have a very good support system. Like,
yeah.
I have very good parents, I have very good family, I have very good friends. I've just always had really good people that supported me and just encouraged me. And if you
Mm,
don't have that, that can be a barrier. But beyond all of that, the reason that I was able to do it was because I believed in my thoughts.
mm,
I believed in what I could do. I believed in what I could cook up. And I feel like a lot of times we live in a space where, even like, especially now in 2025, like, people don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to know what's best. They don't trust themselves to, like, be able to go out on a limb. They don't always trust themselves to be able to carve out their own path and find success that way. And I have a probably insane low-key narcissistic level of confidence in myself and belief
Some
in
people say
myself.
it's just delusion. That's all right.
But because of it, I've lived I've lived as an adult, moved to Thailand at 22. I've lived an entire life that I've always wanted to live.
Mm.
Life on my terms, on my choices, always.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay, so now you're doing social media.
Mhm.
You are a connoisseur for traveling and you're consulting with people and designing trips and all of this kind of stuff. Okay. This like what you have definitely painted is really nice. It's also like, almost things that are made up of our fantasies, right? Where we're just like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we can go and do and all this kind of but it cannot always be unicorns and rainbows. Like it's there has to be points because, like you said, like your family's still back here in the states, and offline we
mhm,
were kind of going back and forth. You're like, oh, these last few weeks have been insane. I've been going back and forth
yeah,
from states to Thailand and blah blah blah. And if you don't know, that's like a 20 something hour flight. Like that's a lot.
yeah.
When I flew to Africa, it was like literally because like I'm in California and that was like
Oh
22
gosh.
hours. That's like
Yeah,
22 hours. That is so wild. And then when I was flying back from India, same thing. It's like 20 hours, 21 hours. It's
yeah.
a lot. So it can't always be unicorns and rainbows. And I want to kind of break through this fantasy that we all have because I'm over here hyping this up like, oh, I'm how do I do
Yes.
this? I do. But it's like, what's some realistic things that come into play here? The I don't want to say bad side, but there's always a downside to things.
There is always. Definitely like you said, it's like my last journey was 30 hours.
Oh,
30 hours of travel because I went to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. I had clients there, so they brought me to South by, and like I had to do 30 hours, like there and back. It was it's very interesting, right? Because we think about like ever since once I had started that job working for the NGO, doing their social media, things kind of spiraled and people saw me doing stuff for them. And then people were like asking that person, hey, who's doing this? And I have gotten all of the jobs, all of the clients, everything that I've done at this point, all by word of mouth. I've never worked in a
mm,
corporate setting, I've never worked in a corporate space. It's all been word of mouth. And essentially, that means that I am just like a lifelong freelancer, which is wild to think
mm,
about. But so there was in this past fall, I content creators for Kamala Harris had reached out to me. I was in
mhm,
Philly, I was in the US. They were like, "Hey, I mean, wow, you're doing a lot." Philadelphia, I'm from Philly. City Hall had reached out to me and was like, "Would you want to be a part of a content creators thing?" Okay. Next thing you know, I'm making videos. Kamala Harris, the Pennsylvania for Kamala comes to me, hey, can you do stuff, right? It's like, yeah, of course, I can do these things. But at one point, like those people weren't paying. So I had
mm.
fallen down to only having like 2 or 3 clients in like November. And I was fully like, I need to make some money. Like,
What are we gonna
what am I gonna
do?
do? What is about to happen? But mind you, I'm in Philly where I live with my when I go to Philly, I work in Philly, I go for work and I live at my family home. So I don't have to pay rent, so that's fine. And then it's like in the interim, like I typically do November, December, and January in Ghana for work. So I have a client in Ghana. So it's like at the
Mm.
same time that I'm like, I don't really have that much money coming in, I'm still like, sis, you're booked to be on a flight in 6 days. You're going to Ghana.
Woo.
And I'm like, oh, I am going to Ghana. So it's that kind of thing where it's just like, oh, sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? What am I going to do? But I think the important thing about that is being able to leverage your skills. So
Mhm.
because I had mentioned that like I was the managing editor of my university newspaper. I've always been a journalist. I started out as a travel writer. I stopped writing in 2020 because of COVID. And I was like, meh, I had broken up with somebody. I said, that's out the window. So is writing. I don't travel right anymore. I don't date you. I got a new life. I'm stepped into a new era. Then I met someone in Philly who owns a public, who is, runs a publication there and was like, would you want to be one of our writers? So then I'm like, yo, I'm a journalist again. It's it's one of those things where it's like when I was in my early 20s, I used to be like, I don't have any money. And my mom would be like, relax. Like it's not that deep. Now it's like I know that the money will come back. I don't know how. We don't always
It'll
know
come.
how. But and especially if you've got a skill set. Like most of us are gainfully skilled.
Yes.
Most of us are just not unskilled people. Like, and I mean that as conglomerate of human beings. Like most people have skills which they can turn into lucrative things. Mine
Mm,
just happens to be online, which is why I'm able to run around the world.
I know. That's like that's the beauty.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of
So
like doing stuff online.
yeah, it's like that's definitely one like freelancing is like, whew, sometimes you just be like, the money just did not come the way that it did last month. You'd be like, I
Mm,
think different. The other thing too is the long journeys home. Like to get from Thailand to the United States, whew, from here to Philly, like it's at least 22 hours of travel. So if anything ever happens, like I'm at least 22 hours away from things. Those are kind of some of the things. And even like deeper on the transparency level, it's like sometimes I am just moving so much that it is so difficult for me to find like the routine and the structure that like my life deserves. And so that
mm.
this, I'm just finally settled in Thailand. I've been here for probably 2.5 weeks. But like by mid February, I had been to 6 countries.
Mid-February of this year?
Yes.
Girl,
I've
that's
been
only
across
like 8 weeks. That's like 8 weeks, and you went to 6 different countries in 8 weeks.
I've been across 3 continents by like mid February.
What? See, even that sounds like, as somebody who's traveled, that sounds like a lot. Like that
Yeah,
sounds like
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh.
yes. It's ridiculous. Like I remember there was a time in my life when I was like, a perfect life would be like if I'm on a trip like once a month.
Mm.
Listen, listen, the tongue is powerful, babe. The tongue is powerful because I'm like,
Doing all of it. You're like, careful what you wish for. You over here speaking it into existence.
listen, because it'll come. If you speak it enough, it'll show up. I literally have been to, I was in Ghana. I drove to Togo. I drove from Ghana to Togo to Benin for the Voodoo Festival. So I did Ghana, Togo,
Ooh.
Benin. I went to Ethiopia after Ghana. I did that for like 10 days. Then from Ethiopia, I was in Thailand. And then that was 5 countries. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, they won the Super Bowl. And I don't know who I thought I was. I was like, Taylor Swift does it. I was like, celebrities do it all the time. I was like, I'm flying home for the Super Bowl parade. And so I did. So I had been in Thailand for probably like 10 or 11 days. Literally, the Eagles won a Super Bowl, booked a flight, went to Philly for 5 days, came back to Thailand for 9 days, went to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, was supposed to stay for 5 days, ended up extending it for 2 weeks, and then finally came back to Thailand and like probably 2.5 weeks ago.
That is so much. That is
Like
so much.
by the time I got, when we talk about like really pulling the curtain back, by the time I got back, I literally had to make a PSA because I wanted to do something on Instagram, like sending out packages, do a raffle because I had hit like 40,000 followers. And I was like, yo, I am a shell of a human. I need,
I'm merely
you
existing.
like, the fact that I could still like see straight was crazy.
That's
Crazy.
wild. That's so
Yeah.
wild. Okay, so let's also talk about we talked a little bit about career. We talked about like pulling back the curtains a little bit. Have there been any like experiences along this, like, I mean, you've been traveling and living abroad for years at this point.
Yeah.
Like years. Um is there anything that you wish you knew beforehand? You're like, let me count the
Like, God, is there anything that I wish I knew? I wish someone I don't think people knew this back then though. So the one thing I
that
say is that I just don't I've been living abroad for 7 years. I'm 29. I've been living abroad since I was 22. Um I just wish somebody told you how The only way I can describe it, and like this is gonna sound bad, because this is gonna sound bad because like one thing about me, I stay with a man or a woman, but like no one told you how undateable you would become by A, living a life on your own terms, by B, loving travel, and by C, like refusing to conform to what society says is a proper woman.
Oh, you spoke to my soul.
Like,
Yes, yes. No one tells you that. And I love that because I think that is a hardcore truth.
mm,
And I don't think, and we're gonna veer off travel for a second because I think you are totally right in this aspect. And it's not
mm,
just like because you chose travel, right? And like, doing the things that interest you, you chose a non-traditional life, right?
yeah.
There's not okay, before somebody comes at me, there's nothing wrong with a
With the
traditional
traditional,
life. There's nothing wrong. If
I
it's for
agree.
you, own it. If it's for
Yeah.
you, love it. If
Yes.
it's not for you, we're talking about you. We're talking to
Yeah.
you. Uh,
Exactly. Yes. 100 snaps. I say that all the
exactly.
time.
Exactly. But that is honest to goodness the thing because whether you want to travel around the world or you have an entrepreneurial mindset and you want to go and try just to say that you tried whatever idea, business, blah, 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 that you're after, just to say you did it, just because you're curious or whatever, like
Yes.
those things are non traditional.
Mhm.
Whether you don't want to get married and have kids, or you just rather, you know what, I'm just going to live life to my fullest, doing the things that I love to do. I won't lie to you. I can relate to some of that. And part of me is just kind of like, yeah, no one does tell you that it can get a little lonely and that it can get, it's a little tough in those aspects. But you have that sit down conversation with yourself and says, yeah, but like, would you be happy? What makes you happier? Living life the way that you want to live it, or living it or doing something traditional that you don't really feel that great about, but you have somebody or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
to me,
Yeah.
I much rather like live my life.
I think I'd much rather live my life. I think I, I what can I say?
Right?
What
It's
can
just
I say?
it's
What
just who
can
you
I
are.
say? Like, I'm gonna choose me every time.
Men have no problem choosing them.
They
So
have no, they have no, and they'll do it every time.
yes, I will. And there's no
They'll do
shade on that. There's no shade on that. In
it.
fact, I find it a little inspiring.
I find it inspiring. I too would like to choose myself as much as a single man does.
Agreed. Agreed. So I'm
So,
glad that you put that up
yeah,
there though, because I think that's like something that people were like, oh, well, I didn't think about that when
yeah.
I start living life according to me, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I would love to be able, because we're kind of on this like healing wellness talk right now, anyways, and talk about how traveling kind of addresses those things for you. Because I think there is that I'm sure there's points of loneliness, right? Because you kind of are away from your family and like all of this kind of stuff. And it isn't always the easiest to date, especially if you're traveling and bouncing around, all that kind of thing. But also, too, I'm sure there's like amazing aspects of just like figuring out yourself and seeing beauty and experiencing different people and cultures and all of that kind of stuff. So let's
Absolutely.
talk about this.
I mean, there is something so cathartic. So you know what it is? Sometimes I think I was born backwards, but I think that other people would would agree with me, but they are, and like you said, it's okay for people to live a traditional life. My friends who have done the traditional corporate life, get married, have a baby, buy a house path, like I love that for them. That's
Mm.
just not. And I always think about the fact that like I said, I think I was born backwards because there is something about me that loves being uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
am more comfortable being uncomfortable than I am being comfortable.
It's
Like,
almost like if you're too comfortable, you're like, what's wrong?
I just be like, I'm just bored. I'm
Yep.
like, what now? Like, is there anything going on? Is there anything happening? Like, truly, that's what it is.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting because there is nothing like being in a place where you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to do, and you just got to rely on your instincts and you have to rely on your truths that you know within yourself. I
Mhm.
think if traveling does nothing, it teaches you how to be sure of yourself. It teaches you confidence. People will be like, it teaches you bravery. It teaches you how to bullshit, whatever. It teaches you how to trust yourself,
Mm.
how to know that you know how to make good decisions, how you know that you are capable of doing the right thing, how you know that you have the capability to make a decision that you know will be a good one for yourself.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
I don't know how much we have that in society when we live within systems which give us the plan to, well, this is what you do, and then this is next, and then this is next, and then this is next. Like, okay, there's some variety of how you do the next and the next and the next. But if we're all at the same goal, which is to get married, buy a house, have a kid, then like
There's not
the
a whole
variety,
lot. There's not a lot of variety on how to get there.
yeah, like, but the goal is the same. So definitely traveling has always showed me that like I know exactly what to do when I need to do it.
Mm.
I can trust my decisions. I'm good at making decisions. I am good at evaluating situations. I am good at um, just kind of analyzing things to figure out what makes the most sense. I'm good at making decisions because I trust myself to know what I need to do. And I feel like
Ooh.
that's what travel can teach people.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I love that so much. uh when so just to kind of like wrap up our interview here too, I love being able to leave our audience with like tips, tricks,
Mm.
all this kind of stuff. We're heading into the warmer months here in Los Angeles. I know you're in Thailand right now, but in Los Angeles we're heading into summer. Everybody's feeling some type of way. Everybody's trying to plan some trips and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk budget friendly. Let's talk about top experiences, top countries, as someone who's either traveled there with some friends or by yourself.
Yes.
Give me the tea.
Okay. Budget friendly. People hate on me when I say this. The travel community be like, man, I love an all inclusive.
Oh,
All
ah,
inclusives are good. All inclusives are fun. All inclusives are bang for your buck and a good mother in time.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, there are a couple people and jump into them all inclusives. They're incredible. They can be at a great price point. You can do additional things if you want to, but you've always got a base level, something to eat, somewhere to go, somewhere to spend time with, and likely an activity. They're likely doing
Mm,
activities at all inclusive. So that is one thing. Some of my favorite countries that I've been to, obviously budget friendly. I'm gonna tell you right now, I split my time now between Thailand, Ghana, and Philadelphia, like Northeast USA.
mhm.
And listen, Africa is not cheap. There's a misconception that Africa, the continent, is cheap. It's not. Africa's not cheap. So you got to get your coins up when you go there. But you know where is inexpensive? Latin America and Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, especially, commit to taking the flight. The flight will be the most expensive thing you get.
Mm,
Everything else will sort itself out. Same
mhm,
with Eastern Europe. Even like, same with, even like the Mediterranean countries, they're less expensive than things that we know. You don't have to bouge out. I think that people have this idea from social media that everything you need to do needs to be Instagram worthy. No, the experience is Instagram worthy. The
mm.
entire Your entire existence going to a new place and having a good time. That's the Instagram experience. So
Yes.
that's definitely one thing. Um, Another thing is always people say shoulder seasons, but like I just be flat out going places during the off season. Not I have the best time of my life. Okay. I was in Sri Lanka last year and I surf. Well, that's where I learned how to surf. So I started surfing. And I was in this place called Hirkatia, and it's an incredible little surf area. Man, I don't know how it happened, but next thing you know, it was rainy season. For 2 weeks straight, I was just surfing in the rain. Everybody was. It was fine. It was great. It was incredible. So consider traveling during different times so that you can get more bang for your buck. Like, really, that's a very tangible thing to do.
Mm. Okay,
Mhm.
and then last bit for our tips and tricks here. Where do you recommend to try and like how do you go about putting together these like excursions? Or I mean, I know that you also curate for groups of people too.
Yes. Yes, yes. So it's like I'm doing a Bali trip coming up in September. I'm doing a group trip to Ghana for Dedi December, which is like the enjoyment period of West Africa. In Ghana, which is that one is like so special to my heart. Like curated with love. It's amazing. Um, the way that I do it is the big thing is that everything you see on social media, it's overrun. Everything that you see with the most likes, don't go to that. Go to the fifth thing down. Go to the fifth,
Mm,
and that's how you find the really cool core stuff. There's also making sure you research neighborhoods because it'll be like, depending on what neighborhood you're staying in, that will change the price. So
mm,
there are definitely blogs and vlogs out there. I live in Chiang Mai in Thailand, right? Nimon is the Haiso area. It's fancy, it's fabulous, it's wonderful. So
mm-hmm,
you know if you're staying in Nimon, you're going to be spending more. But if you stay in Santitam, if you stay in the old city, but all of this information is exists on the internet and you can absolutely find it. So I tell people to do a little bit of a deep dive on the neighborhoods of an area so
okay.
that they can understand like price points and what accommodations look like so that they can choose accommodations which typically are in like really great places but just have different price points. Like you'll get that information. So that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Okay. T, thank you so much. I think we covered so many things on today's nice little interview. you definitely inspired me to gosh, I'm gonna have to find I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna have to find a way.
You
Um
will. You will. I believe it. Because I tell people all the time, I'm just like, I just tell people when they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you moved abroad. I'm like, as an American, I'm like, do you know how many people immigrate to the United States
you just
and
doing it
live
the other way
there?
around.
Like, it's not, this is not the craziest concept to go and live abroad. People do this all the time. And they show up in America and they get jobs and they work, they have families, they get, and then they put their kids through college doing it. You like, whoa. You know what I mean? It is not this crazy far of idea. And sometimes they do it without even having, they have to do it. They do it because they have to. Like they'd
Yeah.
be like, I can't stay where I'm at, so I gotta go somewhere else. I'm like, if you got the means and the time and the plan, man, plan something out. Sort something out. And if not, I tell people, do it. Try see if you could do it for 2 or 3 months out of the year. Doesn't have to be all.
Mm,
Doesn't have to be all or nothing.
I
Maybe you
love
just go somewhere. Maybe you just go to Europe for 2 or 3 months in the summer. And you just live your life.
that. Ooh. Ooh. That's an
Yeah.
idea. That's an idea.
Yes.
Not my
Get
brain over
somebody.
here turning.
Get somebody
Whoa.
to sublet your place. If you've got a sublet, you can get somebody to sublet your place. You go on and go. Be like, I'm in Madrid for the month. Hmm.
Toodles. Catch me catch me in Italy next.
Catch. It's people can start small and they can. There's levels. There's levels to it.
I
Always.
love that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, where can people find you, follow you if they're down for this Bali trip that you planning? Where we go?
Listen, if y'all want to go to Bali, if you want to go to Ghana, if you just, I tell people all the time, they follow me because of the travel and they stay because of the insanity. And that's what happens. So you can find me at traveling.t. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. I'm also on the YouTubes softly, but I'm on there. And that's traveling dash T. T E E. So traveling.tee. you can find me. But yes, people come for the travel, and then they realize that it's just my life. It's just my existence. I just happen to be flying around the world a lot. And then they're like, this lady's crazy. And then they love it and they stay.
I'm here for it.
So I welcome anybody to come on to the Traveling Tea. Because one thing I'll do is entertain you. Second thing I'll do is bully you into wanting to go travel somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, T. I really appreciate you spending some
Thanks
time
for
with
having
us.
me.
I know it is late over there. It's early over here for us.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, Slay Nation, I hope this is inspiring you. I know I came back heavy and hard with some travel content for our podcast lately because I'm really encouraging people to get the heck out and go see some stuff. But yes, as always, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, we're going to catch you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.